actually, what's the next step? Let me not just go anywhere or what. Let this guide me. So now we haven't even run our application. We're being distracted a bit, but we've done that, the YAML and Elasticsearch on there. So let's just highlight it. We're almost at the end, but there is a lot of stuff to come. Don't wander around. Importing, we haven't done that yet, but let me just quickly install this application, which we need it for so I'm gonna call it Dejavu, whatever it's called. I have previously run it, if I can remember the name of it, because I couldn't find the web opened, so sorry about that. You can't prepare for everything, but I think it was Docker, and then it was run p, and the port we want is 1358, and we want a 1358, and then we want to the space app, what's it called, app something like that, CEO / Dejavu. So we don't need to specify any tags because it's going to give us the latest one. So let's just try that. Actually, oh, there's a space maybe needed here. That should download the correct one, which is the latest, I think 2 point something. So we're downloading this now. Actually, while it's doing that, let's quickly let me zoom back and let me go to the left tab and see if Elasticsearch is running. So what we could do is we could say cal, and then there it is, localhost. What port it was listening to was 9200, the HTTP port of Elasticsearch, and we say _cat _ and then / indices, and then question mark and v. That would give us response from there we have. Okay, you can also open it and browse it to see that it's the local host, and then say 9200, and hopefully it will tell us that it's running here, and then the cluster name there and number, whatever version it is 5, 6 something from there. So let's go back to our terminal, and it's about to complete even though we've been away from. So let's do Control V, Control A, and then left arrow, and now let's do Docker yes. Okay, now we have, let's just make it bigger because of okay, let me try again just in case it disappears. So all of them are running. So we need to go to browser, actually, because we don't have any anything created yet. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna come back and I'll show you how you view the repository, the indices in there. So now the next thing is we need to move on to is, let's highlight this. We've done this bit, so we'll come back for that. The next thing is importing MySQL database to the database that we have generated. So let's, while it's empty, I'm not going to run it. So I want the so we already have MySQL dump file, which is full something like that in here. So let's just import it before we build our application and all that kind of stuff. So we want it to pass this to the Docker, isn't it? So Docker exec, and I'm going to say, oh, I don't think we need a terminal thing for it. And actually, I forgot the so Docker peers. I can't find where I get it from there. So which is the MySQL database? Is this one we have here. So paste it, and what we need is MySQL, and then we need the root user, and then we need the password 34, and now we need the database that we need to import from, and we need what was actually, we could work with it. We don't need to specify localhost, so we'll just say it was lulpos, and actually the other way around, and then we need to say for the file we want to import is this one. So let's try. It seems it's worked, so let's just remove the last bit and log on to the database. Yeah, because of we don't have the interactive T thing. So now we're in, I think, and we say select. I think we're already using the same because we've specified the select all from. Let's just show tables the easiest way. So now we have tables created in there. Just to know that one of them has data, what we could do is could do select all from. Which table should we select? Maybe company order by ID descending, just in case there's a lot of data in it. I don't think there's a lot of data. Limit 2, and we say okay, we want to be able to find it and format it properly. Okay, because it's got images in it, so it's not good one. Good example to. Whoa. Hate everything on. It's got images in it, so let's find one. Maybe obviously there's data in there, so that we're not going to bother any. We could have a look at other tables, like some ones that I know don't have images are payment, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have an image, so we know that it has 2 payments, IZETL or whatever with that kind. So now let me move on, and we have been here. Just let me go back to see, just to update myself. So we have updated the database. Next thing we need to do is we need to sync the Liquibase, because of if you have a look at I need to explain to you a little bit about the Liquibase and the syncing of our code, because when we generated our code in here, we have just going up a little bit, Liquibase directory in there, and in here we have a lot of change logs basically, and these are every entity that has been added to the database. For example, for a company, if we just selected for this particular one, we can see that it has a change set ID, and also it has the whole Liquibase remembers something called checksums that we need to clear if we want to start syncing. So it each needs to remember. So for example, this one was generated on 12/08, which is today. I think today's date, which is this 2018 December, and that is the time I think it was generated, all that kind of stuff with all that kind of stuff. So what we need to do now is I'm going to show you another table that two tables that Liquibase saves it is data on. So, and these are these two tables. And remember, this database, I've copied it from another computer and it was generated, and the code is the same, but the data is different. And because this is newly generated code, it will not match. There's going to be a conflict. For example, if we open this database table, and then we go to just to do select maybe the last two, and then replace this with that. It doesn't work with my shifting. So and then you can see, for example, we're going to take one example of one of these entities, and this one is called a payment. Okay, if you have a look at the date that this was generated as an ID 2018, and that was November, basically 12th or something like that. And also the file names are different because this file also records all the things that you've seen in generated by JHipster, and it records the files as well. So look at the date as well. This is the actual date, 22nd of thing. So what we need to do is we need to tell JHipster or Liquibase to sync our. Otherwise, when we start, it will try to override. The JHipster will realize that it has changed since, and Liquibase obviously via JHipster will realize via Liquibase that there is a change in the code that need to be basically reflected on the database. And when it tries to write to the database, it will say, oh no, there is user table already exists, this exists, there's a field in here, and there's conflict because this as soon as it realizes that there is even if you clear the checksums and all that kind of stuff, it will say it will cause us so much trouble. So before we run anything, it's better that you sync. You tell whatever is on the code, I want it to be reflected on the database. And what's being changed is just the history of that is on the code side will be replaced with this old history. This is what we're changing, is just a history of logs, how they've been changed, even though now our code and our database tables are exactly the same. The only thing that is different is the time that they've been generated and where they've been generated actually. So now what we need to do is I'm going to exit. I was trying not to speak that much and explain things that way, but sometimes you have to, otherwise it will look like you're doing anything. So I have exited from the database, not back to where I was, just to remind myself where I am. MySQL dump is complete. The next thing we need to do is we need to sync Liquibase with the newly imported MySQL database. I showed you that the difference. So now let's look for the solution. Let's clear this so that we have clean screen. So the first thing I need to do is basically clear the checksums inside the database, and one way to do that is via command line, Maven command line, with using Liquibase goals. So we do the same thing as if we're running the application, and then we do Liquibase and then full colon, and then goals we want with what we want first of all is to clear the checksums. Am I spelling correctly? If you want to see what goals are available, even if I'm going to remove S at the end just to show you that it will not work, but it will give me an error. And these are the commands. Normally you can do it with help, you can find out what's going on, but if you quickly want to see what goals are available for that command is here. All these you can do things like drop all. Obviously you don't want to do that, but update and all that kind of stuff in here. You can sync. So these are some of the commands that we're going to use tonight to make sure that our code and our Liquibase database are in sync. This is very important because if you don't really understand how Liquibase, if once you understand it, it makes your life easy. You're not afraid to change your code. You change your relationships, if remove fields, add new entities, and all that kind of stuff. It becomes very easy. That otherwise, if you not comfortable how Liquid works, then you're afraid to change your code. And if you're afraid to change your code, then you can't progress. Actually, it's like never be afraid of your code. Figure out, learn rather than being afraid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do S just to clear the checksums, which are the hashes that it uses to compare the two. So now it has cleared that. We know that. The reason why this is working, because you remember the POM XML file, we've changed the password in there. So there's that Liquibase plugin inside the POM XML file, uses this password and connects the database and just change how it likes, even via Maven line. So the next thing we need to do is we need to generate some change log. So let's just repeat the same thing and just change, say that here. This step might be not necessary, or maybe the next step I'm going to show you might do this, but for just to make sure that, so I'm going to say generate change log, generate change log. Everything is camel case with this, so be careful. So it's going to create a new change log for us. Yep, that's been created so far, no problems. I hate the red lines at the bottom when you see that. So far we're lucky. The next thing I need to do is syncing now. So what I need to do is I need to say that change log sync. I need to do change log sync. I think that's the one I want. If it complains, we can always change. Yep. Cool. Same thing. And to be sure, just let's update. There is an update just to finalize everything. And that is it, if this works. So our code will not change, basically. It will have the same, if we just refresh this, the change log in here, let's refresh. Eclipse is not good with refreshing, so we have to manually refresh every time. Nothing has changed, as you can see. It's still, 2018 October 08, which is tonight's date, actually. Yeah, I think so. That's right. Yeah. So that nothing has changed. But if we check now the database has been upgraded by the date and all this. So let's quickly go to the connect to the database. Run the same tables that we ran, which is the change log, and just take the last two ones, which was, I think, the payment, which was the payment was the change. Let's take this one actually. Change shop change, and look at the date today. The date has been taken from JHipster's generated change log sets to update the ID. So this one, if I go to the JHipster's one in here, generated one, and go to the last one, which is normally the last one that's generated, which is the shop change, the ID and the checksum and everything should match. See that? So that matches with this one stored in the database. Now you're not afraid that your code and your data that you imported from another place and the code you've just generated with just log set are in sync. So now what we need to do is, I think we're okay now to be happy and to launch our application. So that one has been done. It's been a long time, and I'll try not to put all of these in one video, but if I don't have a lot of time to edit, so I'll just upload it.